All right, class, we're going to be going back to this problem-based learning that we talked about last time. However, I have made a couple of changes to this to kind of narrow it down and give you guys a little bit of extra help in doing this assignment. Instead of looking at it on a nationwide scale or a global scale, we're going to be looking at it in our schools. So we want to try to get back to where we were before COVID with no masks. Before COVID, we were able to go to sporting events and we hosted sporting events and we didn't have to have this parent can go, but this one can't because of our numbers. So we are going to be looking at that. Another thing that I want you guys to think about is that before COVID, we hosted events like family nights and things like choir rehearsals and choir concerts. So parents could come and watch those. We hosted events for the families so that way they could kind of get in the schools and get to know us. And then also parents could come into our schools back then, but now you know that they can't. So you're going to do some research. How this project is going to work is you're going to research COVID-19, how it affected the schools, what ended up happening with the schools whenever they found out that they had to go under restrictions with COVID-19. And you're going to try to find ways that we can get back to the older way of life. Now, this might be you trying to think and imagine things and writing it down. You know, it might not be like built in stone research. This may be ideas that you've thought of in your personal life that you're like, oh, well, that might help. So we're going to try to find ways that we can reduce COVID in our schools and try to get back to that way of life that what we had before. So you're going to explore a bunch of different resources. I want you to have at least 7 resources on your presentation at the end and in references, and I will help you with that, get that all set up. But you have to have 7. I would urge you to look at more than 7. Get a good base because you're going to have some sources that are over what COVID-19 is because you need to understand that. That's really important. You also need to have some resources over what has worked in other schools and what has worked in other communities with reducing COVID, because there is some countries that aren't really having that big of an issue with COVID because of what they've done. So make sure that you're using good, credible sources. If you don't know if it's credible or not, come to me. I can help you with that, and I'll teach you exactly what to look for whenever you're doing that. So look for those credible sources. Explore. If you go to a site and it has multiple resources listed in the references, be sure to check the references, because if you click into the references, you may find an article that fits exactly what you're needing for your presentation. So then once you have a good base of research, you're going to create a presentation. So this presentation is going to be talked and presented really by the governor that you guys elect that we talked about last time. Okay, so this presentation needs to be, I don't really want to put a limit on you. I don't want you to go over 20 slides because then you're just putting the same information on the same slides. Keep it concise because I really want more of the information to come from the presentation and when you're talking rather than have a whole paragraph on the slide and us just reading it. I would rather that. So maybe less slides, but more planning on talking through your presentation. So make sure that you're thinking about that whenever you're electing your governors to do your presentation, because they will be doing the presentation for your group, and you will be graded upon that as well. Let's see. So I really don't want to put a limit or a max or anything like that on there. I would like you to have a decent amount of slides that covers what you think that we need to do to help reduce COVID. So there is no requirement. I just want you to get your point across and to give me a good presentation. If you need help figuring out like how many slides you should put something into, if you need help breaking it down on which things should go on each slide, I can help you with that as well. You just have to come and tell me. Okay, so then the elections. We talked about this a little bit last time. So once I put you into your groups, we're going to go ahead and start that process. So you're going to take a piece of paper and a pencil and you're going to write down who in your group you want to elect as governor. If you feel strongly that you want to be the governor, you should tell your classmates that, because you may have a student that doesn't want to talk. They don't want to get up and present in front of people. They know that they don't like to, and they don't want to, and they don't want to be elected as governor. So make sure that you are open with your group and say, hey, I would like to be the governor, or hey, I don't want to be. That way everybody kind of knows who they should elect and who they shouldn't. And then the students that are electing, they kind of have options. So make sure that you discuss that. That is something that you need to do immediately once you get into your groups. Then you're going to take a piece of paper, write down who you want, and you're going to pass it to me, and I'm going to count them up. If there is a tie, I am going to choose out of those two who I think would do the best for your group. Okay? So, just because I don't want any fighting or anything like that. So I'll do that. And then you'll know today who your governors are. So then we're going to split up here into groups. So there's going to be 4 groups here. So you're going to have 5 in group 1, Jim, Jacob, Levi, Lacey, Gracie. You guys are going to be together, and you guys need to go ahead and get into your formations, and then you can go ahead and get started with writing down who you think your governor should be. Make sure that you talk through who wants to be and who doesn't want to be. No arguing, please. Group 2, you're going to have 4, Eli, Weston, Lexi, Charlie. So you guys can go ahead and get together, start thinking about who you want to be your governor, and write it down, and I will come pick him up. Group 3, you're going to have 5, Wyatt, Sophia, Jordan, Gia, Zoe. Okay, all together. And group 3, Cammie, Camden, Colin, Jensen, and Janet. Go ahead and get together, and you guys are going to go ahead and start electing your governors. So once you guys are ready for me to come pick up your governor pieces of paper, just raise your hand so that way I know that you're ready. I'll come get them. We'll count them. Your presentation, one last thing that I wanted to say, there is no set theme for your presentation. You don't have to choose like just a plain solid color. You can do animations, you can do graphics. In fact, I'd like to see some type of statistical chart or pictures or something, so that way I get a better idea of what you're going after. But I don't have a specific theme that you have to do. I don't want to see just white slides. I don't. Put some thought into it. Give it some creativity. I'm sure with these groups, there's at least one student that is super creative and would be able to do this. So make sure you put some thought into that. So if you guys have any questions at all, come up here to my desk and we will talk through it, and we'll try to figure out what you need help with for this assignment. And then we'll go ahead and start researching and get that on notebook paper and start our presentations. Thank you guys.